please, from now onwards, you don't say and you don't let others say, use the word mythology for Mahabharata. It's not mythology. Bhima is not a mythological character. He is a Puranic character, you can say. But mythology, you should avoid that term. This is just not an internet edition of Mahabharata, but a platform for all Mahabharata they think to develop. And another big thing which is going to be a floodgates when you open it would be the regional translations and variations.
Mahabharata is not only the biggest epic, I think, in the world literature. It is in Indian literature. It is the biggest epic, the largest epic, 100,000 shlokas. It is not only the biggest storehouse of our knowledge systems, our values, our dharma charcha. It is also the biggest storehouse of akhyanas. That is very important to us. The jati kathas, the tales, the akhyanas that were prevalent in ancient times, and how to know them. And they are the world treasure actually, the Nal Damayanti katha. It is one of the most beautiful story in the world literature. Savitri upakhyana, Nalo upakhyana, Yayati upakhyana, so many hundreds of such upakhyanas, they are stored in the Mahabharata. Because Mahabharata was so designed that everything what is there in India for millennia and millennia, whatever our rishis and sages, the whole essence of the four Vedas. Therefore, it is the Pancham Veda. Mahabharata is rightly acclaimed to be the fifth Veda. So, if you go through the original Mahabharata, you get the whole treasure of four Vedas as well, the Upanishads as well, and it is supposed to be Itihasa, as Shastriji told, and Itihasa is not history in the modern sense of term. Itihasa is not something fossilized in past. It is the past that comes to us and relived again and again.
योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं चैव ततो जयमुदीरयेत् सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां. Namaste to all. This is a very momentous occasion, and I was telling my colleagues, in the Parabhava Samvatsara we are establishing Jaya, which is another name for Mahabharata. And this project is a dream project of mine, and I am very happy that it got fructified. So I will quickly take you through the thing. The Neelakanta Chaturdhara is the first critical edition of Mahabharata, you could say, because he, as you may have heard in the Mangalacharana shlokas, he went through lots of manuscripts which were available at his time, 17th century, and then culled out what he thought was the core of Mahabharata and wrote commentary on it, which is very well known and very scholarly. And so when we thought of putting Mahabharata online, we chose this as the starting point. And let me assure you, this is the starting point, the benchmarking text. So we'll introduce all variations, all further developments later. Okay, and this is in Unicode, and using all the facilities available for Unicode, all the thing. So the Mahabharata shlokas. So first step, as I said, is the Mahabharata shlokas themselves. What constitutes Mahabharata, because there have been variations over the long periods of it. So we chose Neelakanta Chaturdhara's text, 17th century scholars, and in the beginning of the 20th century, there were a very long felt need for Mahabharata critical edition was announced at the World Sanskrit Conference in the 1897-98, and then people started working. They collected manuscripts, and Neelakanta's works were put in print. There were mainly three editions available to us to work. One is the 1901 edition of the printed out from the Gopal Narayana and Co. And then this contained Bharata Bhavadipa, Nilakanta's commentary along with the shlokas. And then another real great. Actually, this thing was find, I think, was the Haridas Siddhanta Vagisha Bhattacharya's version of Mahabharata. So this is from the west Nilakanta Chaturdhara. This is from the east side, the same Nilakanta Chaturdhara, but published from Calcutta. So they published it from Pune. He published it from Calcutta. In addition to Bharata Bhavadipa, he gave his own commentary, which I am told is very beautiful by people. And this is a Sanskrit commentary called Bharata Kaumudi. But all this is in Sanskrit but Bengali script, which was why it was not known much. So to take you through this thing, I would do better to put that video overview you have, and I would like to play that video.
धर्मे च अर्थे च कामे च मोक्षे च भरतर्षभा यदि हास्ति तदन्यत्र यन्नेहास्ति न तत्क्वचित्. In matters of dharma, duty, artha, wealth, kama, desire, and moksha, liberation, O bull of the Bharatas, whatever is found here may be found elsewhere, but what is not found here is found nowhere else. The Mahabharata, not just a story, but a universe of dharma, conflict, and consciousness. A composition spanning 18 parvas, about 100,000 shlokas, layered with meanings that unfold across lifetimes. Texts so vast that they were studied, interpreted, and collated by several scholars over the decades. In the 17th century, the scholar Neelakantha Chaturdhara of Varanasi offered a profound interpretation in his Bharata Bhavadipa, illuminating the text's deeper philosophical essence. In 1901, the Mahabharata, with the commentary of Neelakantha, Bharata Bhavadipa, edited by Vasudeva Balacharya Ainpure, was published by Gopal Narayana and Company. Between 1925 and 1950, Haridasa Siddhanta Vagisha Bhattacharya published a multi-volume edition of the Mahabharata along with the commentary of Neelakantha Chaturdhara, Bharata Bhavadipa, and his own commentary in Sanskrit, Bharata Kaumudi, all in Bengali script along with a Bengali translation. And in 1929, the Pune Chitrashala Press published a complete and authentic edition of the Mahabharata with the commentary of Neelakantha, Bharata Bhavadipa. These three writings form the basis of all information collated on our platform. And we bring this timeless intelligence into a form built for today, an extensively hyperlinked digital platform for seekers and curious minds of today to immersively and seamlessly explore the Mahabharata. Every shloka, organized into parvas and upaparvas, extensively indexed to help you find exactly what you're looking for, and hyperlinks that facilitate deeper reads into every little detail, unravel the interconnectedness within this epic universe. One can navigate knowledge, trace narratives, discover patterns that were once hidden. With Bhaugolika, mapping the epic across real geographies, placing events into space adds a new, first-of-its-kind dimension. For anyone to go even deeper into everything about the Mahabharata, we have Vibhava, an extensive library of research papers that brings centuries worth of knowledge in one place and at their fingertips. An epic that represents the collective consciousness of humanity also deserves a platform that brings together new age thinkers to take that knowledge and expand it further. Satra, which literally translates to the conjugation of people, is the space to spark thoughtful discussions around the Mahabharata. But why?
Yeah. I don't know if anybody recognized that voice. No. It's Ramana Balachandran, who has scored BGM for Durandar 2. So Durandar had to be here. Ramana himself is very devoted to the Sanatana Sampradaya and is a very renowned Veena player, a young maestro. He should have been here at the occasion, but at least he is present through his voice. Yeah, for us, artificial comes much later. Yeah, the problem with this Indian text, which I sort of noticed about 20 years ago, is that all these profound texts are not available easily to study or even look up. You hear some phrase of Mahabharata, and some, for example, a lot of Dhyaya Vakyas of institutions are taken from Mahabharata. Air Force, this thing is Divisurya Sahasrasya. That again is from Bhagavad Gita. Karmanye Vadikara is famous, and there are many others. So when you want to look up, you don't have. You have to go back to scans of books published 100, 120 years ago. And that's the situation. So that's the situation we wanted to correct. Because once you start telling people, look at Sanatana Dharma, and they start studying it, once they get over the schooling thing, let's say, then they have to go into the graduation level. There you don't have any tools to aid you. That's the problem. Ramayana, if you want to look at the original with all patterns or something, no, not available. And only in books you have to again. And they again in archive.org and in a very clumsy fashion. So that situation we want to correct. So we chose Mahabharata and Ramayana. The pillars of Sanatana Dharma is what we want to completely put on the internet for easy access for everybody to view. Because we feel that once you put that on the internet and make it accessible to people, they think many things will correct themselves. Because there is a large hue and cry about the wrong translations by other people who are not very familiar with the Sanatana Dharma. So if you want to correct that, the original should be made available easily and accessible. And most Indians, when they actually zero in on a particular shloka they want to and read it thrice, I am sure they will understand the meaning. They will have to, then they may, if they don't understand the meaning, they will find someone who is around them who will help them understand. So it's of that nature that should serve. And for that to happen, it should be available easily. That's what we have tried to do here. So the complete Mahabharata as presented in the Neelakanta's commentary with Mula Shloka and commentary is being presented here. Nothing. And about the digitization thing, let me tell you, we need always a benchmarking text, so to speak. Then there will be variations and a lot of things can be done. Because unlike a book which gets concretized and fixed in time, internet is an evolving thing. It's a double-edged sword. It's negative thing. You can change things very easily. But then there should be a place where it is made, the authentic version is made available properly, and this is it. So you can explore Mahabharata, and there are many articles written on Mahabharata. In fact, I am surprised that there is so much written every day, so to speak. So one of the things I want to do now is to sort of switch off my academy and other these things for Mahabharata, because I have been deluded by texts, books, research papers, articles from different topics. Psychology is one of the main ones. They're all delving into Mahabharata, and at that time, if we can present our version with our traditional commentaries, etc., that would be very good. There is no point in telling others are doing a bad job if you don't do a good job. And our scriptures, our dharma, we have to make them available, we have to own them. Okay. That's the point. So a lot of articles are collected, which are going to be available in the Vibhava. And one of the articles I would like to point out, to say that Mahabharata is not something, incidentally, that's one request I have. In fact, a prayer you can say, humble submission. Please, from now onwards, you don't say and you don't let others say, use the word mythology for Mahabharata. It's not mythology. Bhima is not a mythological character. He is a Puranic character, you can say. But mythology, you should avoid that term. Our Itihasa. So I don't know how many some of you may be aware that there is a place in Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, a place called the Harkidun Valley. And the Harkidun Valley leads you to the Svargarohan Parvat, which is mentioned in Mahabharata. It's called Svargarohan Parvat even today. And on the way you have this couple of villages, and there's a village called Osla. Have anybody heard of that? It's called the Valley of the Kauravas. You have a temple of Duryodhana there, you have a temple for Karna. Krishna, Bhima, Arjuna are villains there. Children are named Dushyasana, Duryodhana. And on the New Year Eve, they play a game with goats that bladder taken out, like something like rugby. And there are two sides, one is Kaurava side and Pandava side. They play, if the Pandava side wins, then apparently it's going to be a bad year. If the Kaurava side wins, it's a good year for them. So, where is mythology here? I mean, it's living tradition even today. And as you can see, it gets connected. Svargarohina is where Pandavas went to Svarga. So, all these are there, and that's why we put that Bhaugolika to connect the actual thing, because there is a lot of research done on that by famous geologist K.S. Waldia, who did a lot of work on Saraswati. He has written on Mahabharata places, those articles. And articles written by the scholars involved in the Bhandarkar Oriental Research Institute, critical edition. So those articles are all confined to journals. Now we put them out and put it in on the internet in a nice form so that we can update. It's a list of manuscripts which have been found, which they used. Now there is definitely newer manuscripts found. Now our own MDR project is going to be there, and wherever we find manuscript, we can update with that intention. That one article is there. And incidentally, there was an article in 1930s on the lineage of Neelakantha, because there was one S.V. Chaudhary, who was the first registrar of the law college in Pune. He had some manuscripts and some genealogy trees in his house. So he gave it to scholars and to check whether they hail from the Nilkanthiya Chaturdhara's family. And yes, they do. There's a family tree, and in fact, Chaudhary is an apabhramsha of Chaturdhara. Neelakantha himself in one of the places refers to himself as Chaudhary. So Chaudharys are actually Chaturdharas. And so based on that article and this information that S.V. Chaudhary was the registrar of the law college, and thanks to internet, I was able to trace a descendant of Neelakantha. They live in Pune, and currently Girish Chaturdhara. So if Chaudhary. So if you were free, he would have come here. So Neelakantha's descendant has been traced. So we'll find out whether his ancestral home and other manuscripts are available. So those kinds of articles are going to find a place there in that place called Vibhava, which means treasures or resources. And then if we just leave it like that, it may not be. We need an engagement platform. So we named that platform Satra because it is in the Dvadasha Varsha Satra that Mahabharata was retold to mortals, so to speak. So Satra, that's in the stage of development. And one of the first things we do in Satra is the following thing. In the Mahabharata itself, they mention that there are 8,800 shlokas for which the meaning is known to Vyasa, who dictated, and I think another person, Ganapati, who wrote. But then they are called Kuta shlokas because they are mystery verses. So because the Ganapati had to unravel the meaning and then write it down. And unfortunately, you don't have a list of these 8,800 shlokas. So one of our first projects is to start identifying them. And luckily, we have a good beginning with one in Ranganatha Sharma. He has written a book by name Vyasa Rahasya in Kannada, where he has collected about 70 verses in Mahabharata, which are known as Kuta shlokas. And they are very beautiful, both from the poetry point of view and the scholars engaging on that, discussing it, because Sanskritists are very particular about Vakarana, Panini. So how even without leaving the Paninian this thing, you can interpret it correctly. That is one of the things. And there are about 70 shlokas which are called Kuta shlokas or Vyasa Rahasya, and we would be involved in tracking them. So this forum will open up and then people can participate, especially scholars. We can identify, debate, discuss, and finally get this 8,800 Kuta shlokas. So these are the kinds of exercises that we would like to do and in this platform. And so there is much more. This is just not a internet edition of Mahabharata, but a platform for all Mahabharata this thing to develop. And another big thing which is going to be a floodgates when you open it would be the regional translations and variations. Each language has, I can talk of Kannada. Kannada, there is Devashikamani Alasinghacharya's translation of Mahabharata. Then there is a more recent attempt by the Bharata Darshana, where they have brought out complete Kannada translation of Mahabharata. And there is a Kannada variant of that which is called the Kumar Vyasa Bharata. And there are many such. So if Kannada alone has that much, just imagine how much they would be across the thing. And it will be a very nice engagement platform, and I hope you all start participating in it and then spread the word. Okay. Yeah, so now without much ado, we will have a eminent scholar amongst us, Professor Radha Vallabh Tripathi, who has been a Vice Chancellor of this Rashtriya Sanskrit Sansthan and a senior professor at the Gaur University, Madhya Pradesh. He has given many talks on Mahabharata which you can find on YouTube, and we requested his presence here as he is one of the senior most Sanskrit scholars in the country, and we request him to give a talk on Mahabharata. Yeah, Professor Radha Vallabh Tripathi.
सूक्ष्माय शुचये नित्यं नमो वाक्तत्वतन्तवे विचित्रो यस्य विन्यासो विदधाति जगत्पटिम्. Thank you very much, Yoganand Shastriji. I am very happy to be a part of this momentous event. I am supposed to talk about Mahabharata here. The question is, why should one approach the Mahabharata? Why should one read the Mahabharata? The story is well known, and those who have seen B.R. Chopra's serial Mahabharata, they might be knowing the power, they might be understanding the power the epic has, what the epic story means to us, the Indians. When we used to see the serial Mahabharata on Doordarshana, nobody came out from the houses, the roads were empty, and every Sunday was something which was a day which was awaited for the 6 days. B.R. Chopra's Mahabharata is just a poor replica of the original Mahabharata. So the younger generation should go to the original and what power it has. It is the biggest repository of Indian knowledge systems. We talk of IKS or Indian knowledge systems, but Mahabharata is the most authentic and the biggest storehouse of all the knowledge systems. And it is an oft quoted stanza that has been repeated here also. Dharme charthe cha kame cha mokshe cha bharatarshava yadi hasti dadanyatra yanne hasti na tatkvachit. Whatever that is in India is there in Mahabharata. Yanna bharate tanna bharate. This is another saying which is prevalent amongst the Pandit. Whatever that is in Bharata is in Bharata. Bharat is another name of the Mahabharata. So Bharata or Mahabharata is synonymous to Bharata, the country. I just composed a stanza when I was sitting over here and the program was delayed. Bharatam yo na janati katham vettu sa Bharatam. A person who doesn't understand the Mahabharata, how can he understand Bharata, the country? Yato Bharat Sarvasvam Bharatetu Pratishtitam. Because the Sarvasva or the essence of Bharata, the country, is enshrined in Mahabharata, the epic. So Mahabharata is not only the biggest epic, I think, in the world literature. It is in Indian literature, it is the biggest epic, the largest epic, 100,000 shlokas. It is not only the biggest storehouse of our knowledge systems, our values, our dharma, Dharma Charcha. It is also the biggest storehouse of akhyanas. That is very important to us. The jati kathas, the tales, the akhyanas that were prevalent in ancient times, and how to know them. And they are the world treasure actually, the Nal Damayanti Katha. It's one of the most beautiful story in the world literature. Savitri Upakhyana, Nalo Upakhyana, Yayati Upakhyana, so many, hundreds of such Upakhyanas. They are stored in the Mahabharata, because Mahabharata was so designed that everything what is there in India, for millennia and millennia, whatever our rishis and sages, the whole essence of the four Vedas. Therefore, it is the Pancham Veda. Mahabharata is rightly acclaimed to be the fifth Veda. So, if you go through the original Mahabharata, you get the whole treasure of four Vedas as well, the Upanishads as well, and it is supposed to be Itihasa, as Shastriji told, and Itihasa is not history in the modern sense of term. Itihasa is not something fossilized in past. It is the past that comes to us and relived again and again. It continues to be with us. And Sri Krishna is here in the Mahabharata as the Sanatana Tattva. And Shanta is said to be the Ras of the Mahabharata. That is very important to me. Often it is said that Mahabharata is the story of war between two cousins. I don't take Mahabharata as the story of war. To me, it is an outcry against war. It is the biggest poem against war. Right from the beginning, there is a voice to stop war. From all the Parvans up to Udyog Parvan, everywhere. Everybody is talking to stop war. How to stop war, that is the concern of the Mahabharata. So when we say that it's a story of war, we should pay our attention to the fact that there are 18 parvas. Parva is a joint or a section. So there are 18 books in the Mahabharata, and out of those 18 books or 18 sections, mostly the 4 Parvans are concerned with direct narrative of war. What about the remaining Parvans? What about the 14 Parvans? They are almost against the war. Right from the beginning, Vyasa is coming and he is advising Satyavati that leave this place. That there's something very bad might be happening here, and Vyasa is coming in again and again. He is an interlocutor. He comes again and again in the Mahabharata, in the events of Mahabharata, and he advises Duryodhana again and again. Vidura advises Duryodhana again and again not to go for war. The last attempt, very desperate attempt, you can say, to stop war was made by Sri Krishna in Udyog Parvan. When all the armies are preparing for war, they are almost marching towards Kurukshetra. Yudhishthira says that, Krishna, you go to Duryodhana and again tell him. He was being told again and again not to fight. But at the behest of Yudhishthira, Sri Krishna makes the last attempt. And Vidura asks him, why have you come? They will humiliate you. They are all out for war. They won't listen. Sri Krishna said, I know that war is going to happen. But still I want to show to the mankind that no attempt should be left to stop war, even if war is inevitable. This is the message of Mahabharata, that dharma and adharma, they go together. It's a discourse on dharma. But adharma always accompanies dharma, in this world. This is the nature of the world. So the epic is such that adharma continues with dharma. So as long as dharma stands against adharma, the world will not perish. As long as there is a talk to stop war and there are attempts to stop war, the world will not perish. If the attempts to stop war, to talk against war and to talk peace, they are stopped, the world will go to ruins. This is the message of the Mahabharata. And Gita is, of course, there. It is the most beautiful philosophical poem that India has given to the world. So in the remaining time, I heartily congratulate Yoganand Shastriji for taking up this project. It's a project of cultural importance, and it will go a long way to sustain our knowledge systems and the Mahabharata studies. We all feel the need to access the commentary of Nilkantha. Nilkantha is not only a great commentator, he is a great philosopher also. So I hope that with this project, the studies on Indian knowledge systems and Shastras will also be taking into account our great commentorial literature, the commentaries. What happened that the Britishers during the colonial period gave us a wrong idea of our history, of our knowledge systems, and they said that after 10th century India didn't produce any original thinking. My understanding is quite different. After 10th century, the greatest of original thinkers, line after line in succession, they came in India. And Britishers say, the British historians said that India only produced commentaries, but we produced most original thinking through commentaries. It is our way of thinking that through the Brahma Sutra is interpreted again and again through bhashyas and through commentaries. So we have a process of thinking through commentaries. So the commentators of Mahabharata, there is a great line of commentators of Mahabharata, and great philosophers have written commentaries on the Mahabharata. So this project will also draw our attention to the great tradition of the Mahabharata commentaries, starting from, I think, from Arjun Mishra. Ratna Basu, I came to know that she is a great scholar of manuscriptology and in Sanskrit literature. She has been working on Arjun Mishra. Arjun Mishra comes in 11th century. So throughout 1 millennium, there is a commentator after commentator writing a commentary on Mahabharata, and Arjun Mishra's commentary was equally a great commentary on the Mahabharata. Bharat Tatvarth Deepika or Bharatarth, Bharat Deepika, so many names of Arjun Mishra's commentary are there, and there are many other commentaries. The great philosopher of the propounder of Dvaita Vedanta, Madhva, he wrote a Mahabharata Tatparya Deepika, and so it's such great philosophical interpretation of Mahabharata from the point of view of Dvaita Vedanta. And Madhva in Mahabharata Tatparya Deepika informs that it's a very pathetic situation. The manuscripts are not being preserved properly, and crores of, he uses the word kotisha, crores of manuscripts have been destroyed. And somehow I have tried to collect many manuscripts of Mahabharata. I have tallied the readings, and I am trying to locate proper readings. Every commentator is trying to find out the most original reading of the Mahabharata which Vyasa must have given, surveying many manuscripts and telling the copies of the manuscript. These the commentators are doing what the Bhandarkar people at Pune did in 20th century. Every commentator is attempting it. So Madhva is a great commentator, and in the line of Madhva there is Vadiraj. Vadiraj is one of the great philosophers in 15th, 16th century, and he was a pontiff in one of the mathas established by Madhvacharya in that line of the acharyas. And he was a great scholar. He has written hundreds of works, philosophical works in Sanskrit, but they are writing commentary on the Mahabharata also. Such great philosophers, you see. So in that line comes Nilkantha. And Nilkantha in his Bharat Bhav Deepa, his family used to live in Karpuragram, as I came to know. Karpuragram is called Kopargaon now. Kopargaon is a place in Maharashtra. Still there. Shastriji informed that his descendants, some of them are living in Pune, of course. Nilkantha moved to Kashi also later on. So the way Nilkantha interprets the very first verse, Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayet. He says that they are the three levels of existence. Narayana, Nara and Narottama. And Nara, the Jiva, and he becomes Narayana and Narottama. So how it's a poem of being and becoming. The supreme being, the Param Satta, and a man can reach that level. So this is what Mahabharata tells us, how a man can become Narayana, Narottam. The unfolding of this philosophy, Nilkantha very beautifully explains it. So with these words, I will finish over here, and thank you very much. And I again congratulate Shastriji and his excellent team. The younger scholars and technicians are coming to help. This is a great moment in the history that we are living in most complicated times, but we are living in times which have immense potential as well. So the younger generation, with all its technical know-how, is being involved in such projects. I welcome the younger friends, and thank you very much again.
Thank you. There it is, Mahabharata. As I said, unlike a book, there is going to be a continuous engagement. I invite you all to visit the site sanatana.in/Mahabharata, and then when the Satra becomes open, register there and participate in the discussion. So there is no formal vote of thanks, because in front of Mahabharata, which has been preserved over thousands of years, what we have done and along with our team, etc., is very minuscule effort, but I hope it will establish. So with this, I thank all involved in the project, especially the Hindu Fund and Rahul Devanji for facilitating this project. I hope such things will multiply in future. Thank you very much. We move on to the next program.